I really love the title. I mean, it tells you so much. Such a clever title. But I really want to get in and talk about the film. They said, what, 30 years that you've been...
23.
Oh, 23 years that you've been collecting or buying these signs. I mean, tell me about that first interaction.
Well, I don't remember the first interaction, truthfully. I do remember the early years where I felt a lot more nervous about pulling over and asking someone to buy their signs. But very quickly, I realized how much they craved the interaction and the connection. And now it's just not even, I have no hesitation anymore. Some want to talk more than others. Some are clearly curious about why I want the signs. So it's fun to tell them it's for an art project. And sometimes we have really deep conversations, especially on our trip where we got to interview people, in some cases for 30 to 45 minutes.
A lot of the signs that are purchased that Willie buys are oftentimes at an intersection where there's a traffic light, so it's a fast interaction.
Yeah.
But on this trip, we had the opportunity because we took 31 days and we went to 24 cities, and so we had a lot of time in each city, and so we could stop, get out of the car, and really have an in-depth conversation.
So as far as making a film, how do you plan for your day-to-day? I mean, what does that look like, the planning of it, the locations that you know that you're going to go to?
We actually, when we approached this, we didn't approach this from the place of making a film. Mm-hmm. We approached this from a trip across the country to connect and buy signs from homeless people, and we just shot that. And then when we got back, we looked at what we had and we made the film from that. So we didn't specifically plan out what we were going to do for the film. We just did the journey. And we looked at footage, of course, across the country as we shot, but we really didn't plan to make the film. We just did the journey and then made the film after.
What we did plan is, and I'll give a lot of credit to Tim and our producers, the camera setups and the reviewing of footage every day required a lot of energy, and this was while we're driving across the country a day at a time. So there was a lot of logistics that were happening.
Right.
And this kind of a film is the kind of thing we had no way to plan what was going to happen. We didn't know who we'd meet and what would happen, so it was a very guerrilla style shooting.
And what was the reaction of some of the people? Well, you mentioned the reaction of when you were buying the art, but what about when you introduced cameras into their environment? What was that like?
Well, we asked permission to interview them. So the people that were willing to be interviewed, we would often go sit under a tree, we'd go sit on the curb, and the camera folks, we were very, for me it was really important to be very respectful of them as we approached them, because we had them sign releases and do all that sort of stuff. But they were, I don't know how you felt, I felt like they were very willing to be completely exposed with us and tell us their stories.
Oh, absolutely. With very little time in talking, they were very open in oftentimes how they got to where they were and what they were doing in their life. A lot of conversations about their families and about different things that had happened. So, but to the point about, Willie always approached them individually, and we always stayed back, and then he would have a conversation with them and make sure that it was okay, and then once we had permission, then we would come up and shoot. So we really treated, that situation with great respect.
Well, one last question. What was your favorite sign? Or a funny sign, a clever sign that you remember?
One of the funny signs was need cash for weed. And there were one in Los Angeles, another funny sign said good advice $20, shitty advice $1. So that was a funny sign, but my favorite sign was there's a man in Las Vegas named Michael, and his sign simply said spare change, but it was done in a ballpoint pen, and it looked just so full of emotion, and I felt a connection to him, so that's probably my favorite sign.
Well, congratulations, you guys.
Thank you so much.